And here we are with take 101, take 101, just as the train is arriving to take me home. How's that for timing? Well, since the train is not going to take off immediately, we got a little bit of time, and I want to be comfortable. I'm going to sit outside for a little while and go through this next Tino Take. What an absolutely interesting evolution is taking place. I would have never imagined that I would have taken the routes that I have taken thus far. Whoa, that's a heavy sound there. I don't know if that's the engine. No, I'm not going to be vulgar. Anyway, I had not expected that this podcasting, commute casting, smart casting would be going into, I'm going to need to call it something else. Intelligent casting, AI casting, artificial casting. I don't know. We need to come up with some kind of terminology for the fact that I am now producing shows. It's funny to even say that word. You know, it's funny to even think that I'm producing. I'm a producer now. I'm producing shows. I have my wonderful presenters of Deep Dive who are coming up with excellent shows based on my shows. I mean, what an interesting feedback loop. And I've worked with it. I've tweaked it. I've played with it, and it's evolving. It's an evolving idea, and it was frustrating for a moment, and I'll get into why. But I'm happy with how it's going. Now, I'm not finished. Just to let you know, this is like the third take, and I'm still on that question. I'm still on that question that my AI assistant posed to me. What would you say to your younger self about broadcasting? What would you say if you were able to project into the past your thoughts, your suggestions, your advice to your younger self to say, hey, listen, this is what you will potentially be facing. So here's what your older self is going to tell you. Here's what your experienced self is going to tell you. And you know what's fascinating, what's interesting, even though it seems like I'm speaking to my former self, my younger self, I'm actually speaking to me, because I'm doing the same things that I feel that I've done wrong in the past. So I'm continuing on this path of, I haven't finished with this question yet. I have not finished with this question yet. You know, what would you say to your younger self? And the list goes on. And I remember I was saying in a previous take, I was saying it more than likely I'm going to have other things come to mind in these days, because I'm sure that I haven't gotten everything off of my chest just yet. So here are some other thoughts that I would, launch and time travel into the past to say to my younger self, to be careful of infatuation with new ideas and experiences. Be careful with the phase of infatuation. And you know what's interesting as well? The timing of all this. That I'm here now talking about infatuation, and I decided today that I'm going to start including in my transcript archives my past shows. I mean, all of my past shows, so that we can get an overall sense. And I'm seeking out the AI assistance in order to constantly evolve this. Now, mind you, with artificial intelligence and its ability to be able to handle large volumes, huge volumes of information, I thought to myself, why not create a large context, so that the AI assistants who are helping me can understand and have a peek of the overall evolution of my broadcasting adventure, journey, and experience that I've had. And so today I added, way back from like 3 years ago, I was talking about the gap between take 95 and take 96 is like 3 years. Well, there were other shows that I was doing. There were other podcasts that I was into. And one of them was known as Gene Codes. And in Gene Codes, I explored all the different areas of human nature. But again, it was one of those things that boxed me in, and the Tino Take liberated me from that. So it just so happens that I wrote this note down of what I was going to talk about in this take, and it was this idea of infatuation of new ideas and experiences. And just so happens that the gene codes that I've included in the transcript archive is talking about infatuation, the honeymoon effect. But more so, I'm interested in the infatuation part because I'm feeling it in these days. It's the infatuation with a new idea, a new experience, and it's the reminder that infatuation eventually dissolves. Infatuation is a transitory state. Infatuation is different from devotion. And what's interesting is that I have gate 29 in my human design chart, and gate 29, or gene key 29 as well, because gene keys and gates in the human design system for me are one and the same. But in the gene keys, you have gene key 29 with its highest potential being devotion. So I like to differentiate between infatuation and devotion. Devotion, once you latch on to something, that devotion is it's not transitory. It doesn't dissolve. Infatuation dissolves. So I got this new thing going on, and I got my AI assistant, and I'm leaping ahead, and I'm thinking about all of the different ways in which this could last forever. And that's what infatuation does to you. That's what infatuation does to people in relationships. And then when the infatuation wears off, that's when things start to really go downhill. And sometimes they can go downhill fast. And I went into all of those different phases in the gene codes when I was talking about, I believe it was session 14, and when I was talking about all of this phase of infatuation. And I'm aware of it in these days. I'm aware of it, that it's present, that I'm infatuated with this new commute casting. I'm infatuated with this new opportunity to delve into AI. And I have to be careful with that. I have to remind my younger self, which in reality is reminding myself today, because I'm still doing it now. You know, it's not like I'm the wise man on my throne and I'm, launching into the past, to my past self, to my younger self, and saying, hey, listen, I've overcome these things. No, I'm still going through them now. So speaking with my younger self, it's almost like I'm speaking with me. And this is a moment in which, being present in this moment, I'm launching into the future, to my future self, to say, hey, your future self, which is now, I am the future self of my past self. And so there is another future self that hopefully, I hope that in the future, my future self isn't looking back on this moment and saying, I have not learned that lesson yet. I'm still getting caught up in the infatuation thing. Which you'll never be free of it. Infatuation, I think, is a natural phenomenon that when you go into a new experience, new relationship, anything new, that there's a phase of infatuation that you have to go through. But I think it's wise to be aware that you're going to go through it and to be careful not to get caught up in it. So be careful with the infatuation thing. And then I wanted to remind my younger self of not getting caught up in audience influence. Not getting caught up in audience influence. Do not be overly influenced by your audience. Now, I've already touched on this when I spoke about the fact that artists have to be careful of the desire to want to accommodate or cater to an audience that praises them, or try to avoid or even cater to or try to appease an audience that is critical. I'm going to take this a step further to say, be careful of those people in the audience who pop up and they seem like they're interested. They go through a phase of infatuation as well. And so you have to be careful that when people come along and they're praising you and they're complimenting you and they're asking you all kinds of questions, be careful for when that moment arrives when they start to try to steer you in a direction that is more comfortable for them. And listen, I'm going to be blatantly honest. I've done it myself. I go into forums. I've gone into forums. I've gone into groups, and I've gone into other spaces that are led by other people. And even though I'm fascinated by what they're doing, I eventually try to bring in what it is that I'm interested in. And so, knowing that I do this and have done this in life, I know what it means. I know what it means, that you're not fully accepting the trajectory of the group or the people who most likely have some kind of charismatic leader, have some dynamic, assertive leader. And that is their guide. And so for two dynamic assertives to walk on the same path is really difficult. And I've always advised against it. All dynamic assertives should create their own path in life. They are the trailblazers. They are the trendsetters. I mean, that's what I am. And so for me to share a path with someone else, it could be done temporarily in order to help another person improve their path. But eventually, a dynamic assertive has to set off into their own direction. And so I have to be careful even now, and later on, as things progress on, if people start popping up and saying, hey, you should do this, you should do that. That's what I would say to my younger self. Be careful with people who say you should do this, you should do that, because you have to outline and you have to blaze your trail. You can't allow your trail to become someone else's, because they will eventually seek to bring you onto their path. Maybe because they need help. Maybe because they don't know where the hell they're going, but they think they do. And so they would like you to come along with them. Or simply, like they look at you and say, this guy seems like he's got a lot of answers. Maybe he can help answer the questions of my life and figure out my life. I'm still trying to figure out my own life. So I can't be sitting here being drawn into other people's lives and trying to figure out their problems and trying to figure out their destiny and their path, because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, And it leads you to a sense of frustration. It leads me to a sense of frustration when I give away that time. And time is really precious. Even if it's an illusion, it's still precious for those who buy into the illusion. And I'm one of those people who buy into the illusion. I can't escape the consciousness of time. So long as I believe in this concept of time, I believe that it should be valued, very much valued. Another thing that would be really important to say to my younger self, and mind you, these are things that I'm going through right now. It's like I'm stopping to remind myself, like, hey, you're talking to your past self, but you're in a situation in which you're not even actualizing the actual advice that you would like to say to your younger self. And I think that maybe my AI assistant hit me with this question as a form of saying, listen, this might jolt you a bit, but you need to do this before you make certain mistakes. Because remember that an AI assistant has a large context window that you may not even be aware of. Like, I'm speaking to my AI assistant, and that AI assistant has a context window in which they're able to remember things that I may not even remember, because I'm talking away, I'm chatting away, and I don't know what I'm saying after I say it. I'm being spontaneous in the moment. But the AI assistant has a context window that says he may not have noticed that he said this, this, and this. And so I will put this all together in such a way that, maybe this will wake him up. Maybe this will give him a jolt, a good idea on how to avoid past mistakes or get over certain hurdles that I may not even see are coming my way. So, I'm on the third take that I'm still addressing this question. So one of the things that I put down on this paper was stop complicating things, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Which I'm mindful. I'm mindful that in my human design chart, I have gate 23, which is a very prominent gate, especially for me because I have it in my personality Earth. And the gene key 23 has the shadow of complexity. I tend to complicate things. I have the gift from the 23rd Gene Key 23, Gate 23 in human design, has the gift of simplicity. And its highest potential is the quintessence. Quintessence. I always have a difficult time pronouncing that. The highest potential is quintessence. Reaching that singular kind of fundamental nugget that you can pull out of chaos. So I tend to complicate things, especially if I really get caught up into things, especially if I'm going through that phase of infatuation. I can really complicate things. So I need to remind myself to simplify things. It's natural for me because I'm always trying to jump ahead. I'm always jumping ahead. I have this mind, this insightful mind. And so one idea follows another idea. And I don't take the time to carefully kind of lay down the ideas in a kind of step-by-step way. And so I can end up complicating things. And in the past, obviously, complicating things too much, I end up giving up on them because I find them too complicated, too overbearing. They drain my energy because I need to simplify things. So I need to be careful. I need to be careful when it comes to complicating things because I have this tendency to complicate things, and I realize that I'm doing it now. But I'm also taking the time to simplify it down, and I'm enjoying what's being outputted. You know, what's coming out of this with the deep dive, with all of the AI assistants. I feel like this is going somewhere. I don't know where, but I have one more thing that I wanted to go into, but I'm going to save that for the next take or for a future take because I don't want to create expectations. But I did jot this down because I want to get into it. I want to get into it in a future take. So that is it for take 101. Okay. And gradually I am going to be pulling out of the archives, dusting them off, my previous podcasts, which most of them are up on YouTube, but I have to go dig into my old computer because there's a lot of them that I put up on DTube, and I have things scattered all over the place. But if I remember correctly, I have them stored away on the computer because you have to produce them first, and then you can put them online. So somewhere in the archives, I have everything stored away. I'm glad I did that because I had a tendency in the past to just get frustrated with things and just delete everything. I have so many hip-hop songs that I've lost over the years because I deleted them. I wasn't happy with them. I wasn't happy with the lack of progression. And so I would just go and, out of frustration, just delete everything. But I've learned to stop doing that because then there's a time in the future when you want to go back and dig those things out. So I'm going to be digging out those old podcasts so that my deep dive buddies can get a greater context of this decades-long journey that I have been on in the world of podcasting, smart casting, commute casting, and AI casting. I don't know. I'm going to come up with some kind of term for these podcasts that are being created by artificial intelligence. Okay, people, that is enough for this take 101 of the Tino Take. I really appreciate you all taking the time to listen.